This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good evening, everybody. This is Greg Morton. It is Labor Day, Monday, September 6, 2021. So this is the weekend video update for the Greenville Eastside IBD meetup group, as well as the Stockyard meetup group. And with the holiday weekend, a little bit late getting around to this as we had some of our children in town and grandchildren in town, so catching up a little bit, but figured I did want to get one of these out this weekend. So as always, this is for educational purposes only, not recommending any stocks or securities to buy or sell. All investing has substantial risk of big losses, so always want to learn first and then invest. And of course, Canslim is a registered trademark of Investors Business Daily. So this weekend, let's look at the M factor like we always do, market review and market direction. The leaders are leading right now, so that's nice. We'll look at some charts, and then we'll talk about more detail on our September meeting, which is coming up a week from tomorrow, Tuesday. So I'll give you the information on that. So always a good reminder, the M is the most important letter in Canslim, and O'Neill teaches us to diagnose, to interpret, but don't predict. And in evaluating market direction, we look at three things in this order of priority: the action of leading stocks, which are doing well right now, the actions of stocks owned, which we look at the group teaching portfolio, which is doing well right now, and we look at the market polls, distribution day count, price and volume on the indexes. So I'm going to switch over to Market Smith, and then we'll also look at the coloring book and the group teaching portfolio. So let me get out of here. Let's go over to Market Smith. Let's look at the indexes first. Just starting with the NASDAQ, the indexes have looked fine for a little bit now. Moving average lines are stacked in the correct order. Let's go to the daily. So this is the 10, 21, 10 simple, 21 exponential, 50 simple, 200 simple. So these are in the correct order. NASDAQ continued to hit all-time highs a couple days this week. Relative strength lines trending up. So no problems there. S&P 500 trying to set new all-time highs. Moving average lines are stacked in the correct order. Looks fine. NYSE, 10 and 21 have been swapping places a little bit, but getting back in the correct order. RS lines lagging. Dow, RS lines lagging, and this one's sort of been flattish, as you can see there. The Russell small caps are kindly improving, or continually improving. We can see the 10 has crossed back over, 21's crossed back over the 50. So we're making some progress, not back at all-time highs, but it's nice to see those coming on, and we have the relative strength line pointing up. S&P 600, sort of similar, getting the moving average lines back in the correct order, and the RS line not pointing quite as much as up as the Russell was, but still pointing up. So we're seeing some improvement there. If we go over to the coloring book, I'm just looking at the Dropbox version this weekend. So currently I have 10 buying days, 8 selling days in the last 25-day window, which starts with the little orange dot. We have a low distribution day count, 3 on the NASDAQ, 3 on the S&P 500, and we'll drop at least 1 on each index this week due to age. Also, we'll drop 1 on the Dow. These are scattered. They're not clustered, so that's all pretty good. This week, the NYSE flipped to MMTS yellow and then flipped to green. So the only one index that's not flipped back to green on MMTS is the Dow. Let's see, what else? Oh, on Friday, market school exposure went to level 6, which is full. 5 is 100%, so now it's got sort of an extra factor in its pocket, and the power trend turned back on, and the NASDAQ hit another all-time closing high. I hadn't filled in the rest of this. The volume was down, but it was a Friday before a holiday Monday, so we sort of expect low volume. We still go into this week, just like last week, there are not any IPOs. We're in the traditional summer break, which lasts about 4 weeks, so I think things we'll crank back up next week. We'll look at that next weekend. So that looks good. Let's look at the group teaching portfolio. Really nice week this week. Year to date, we're now at 25%. So really for the first time in a long time this year, which has been a difficult year, we're ahead of the indexes, both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So that's a good thing. Things are working. We really don't have any down position. Started back figs again, which is the third try. The first one was very good. Second one, we lost a little bit. Trying it again on that double bottom base with a partial position. So it's down a little bit, but nothing significant at all. Because these are working well and we have a strong gain, used a little bit of margin. So now 112% invested, or 67% on margin basis. So you can see the positions we have. Some of these are oversized because sometimes the best stock to own is one you already own. And if you have proper add-on buy points, you can increase the positions. Standard size is $60,000, so you can tell which ones have been increased. So that's about everything on there. Most of those are working. When we look at the charts, a couple of them are getting close to the 20% profit goal. So there'll be some decisions that have to be made. Also, Cook reports Thursday, I believe that's the 9th, after market close. So decision will have to be made on that one under the cushion rules and implied volatility rules that we reviewed in detail at our last monthly meeting. So that looks okay. We'll go back to the presentation, covered everything there. Go back to the big version. So overall, lots of stocks are extended now, so that's good and that's bad. It's good because the leaders are working. It's bad because this, for instance, this weekend there were 58 stocks in the relative strength new high list in the growth 250, and 0 of those made it to my first pass watch list. So either they weren't good Canslim stocks, or they weren't set up properly, or they were extended, and a lot of them were extended. So just nothing to do. Do not chase, do not buy extended. It's a little bit easy to now feel like, oh, I missed the boat, things are moving. You just have to wait for proper setups. Also this weekend, I only had 19 stocks on my overall first pass watch list. Had been, over 30 the last couple of weekends. So that just shows me a narrowing of actionable setups. So as I've talked about for many weeks, this has been a tough market this year. Indexes have been strong on the top side, but there's this underlying riptide rotation. Maybe this time they're rotating back to growth and it'll stick there for a little bit. So we'll see. So current thoughts, you want to be super disciplined with any offensive move. Make sure the setup is there and the entry is correct. If things are working, for example, in the group teaching portfolio, then it's okay to push on the gas pedal a little more. If they're not working, you have to go slower. As Bart Minervini says, don't be bold when the trades run cold. And the opposite of that is, hey, if things are working, then I can increase exposure. And as long as they keep working, I can keep increasing exposure, following my sell rules at all times. So looking ahead a couple weeks, things coming up this week, still in EPS light. Earnings season won't kick off hot and heavy again until we get to about the end of the first weekend in October. So we have a little bit of time, another month. So we still have reports trickle in though for companies that are not on fiscal year normal quarter. So this week we'll get Path. A lot of eyes on that one. Kathy Wood's been buying a lot of that one in the ARC funds. Restoration Hardware reports, reports, that's an IPO, I think that's Sentinel. Academy Sports, Affirm, which some people have been watching. Cook, already mentioned that one, is in the group teaching portfolio. Zscaler and Lulu. So still some big names coming up that could move the market. We're still dealing with Delta COVID going back to school. I've seen many colleges that are temporarily, going back to online, Duke University, Liberty University, at least for certain time periods. So it seems like things are ramping up. Public schools have started back here. Our cases are ramping up, and I know they start back across or in parts of the country after Labor Day. Fed meetings coming up September 21st and 22nd. So there'll be a lot of eyes and ears on that one. And then also just from the seasonality perspective, it's been a tough year. Oops, sorry for that typo. And we may see some fourth quarter strength due to fund managers trying to play catch up because it's been so hard. And if you look at the mutual funds, the two that are highlighted in the paper each weekend, a lot of them, those managers are lagging the indexes by 6-7%, or 5%. The index is around 20% year to date. Fund managers are 14 or 15%. So they're measured against the S&P 5. So they're, if they're trying to catch up, that means there's more buying. If there's more buying, that means more demand. The market is about the law of supply and demand. So if there's more demand, then that can help move the market up. So we'll see what happens. Or it could be like the fall of 2018 when we had a bear market that really started in August, but it showed up in the chart starting in September. So let's look at a couple charts. Go back to Market Smith. So I put some in here just to kind of highlight, go to weekly charts, ones that are working. These are all extended. These are not actionable at all, but just to get our eyes used to nice accumulation, proficient. I mean, that's just gorgeous. Blue week after blue week after blue week. Look at all these blue bars of volume. It looks like it's starting to get a little climactic. Maybe you can see that angle of ascent has changed all of a sudden. Not in that one. It's a Canslim stock. Doesn't have any fund ownership, so trades 44 million per day. Dexcom, we do have this one, recently broke out, also went past Dr. Wish's green line breakout, which is breaking to a new all-time high. So it gapped up, it's consolidating, and moved to all-time highs last week. So see what that one does. Very liquid, $366 million per day, and a lot of top-rated funds in there, including Fidelity, Contra funds. So that's good. Fortinet, that one's been a monster. This is just a great list of stocks I do not own. So Repligen, I do own Dexcom, but Repligen went up, it hit the 20% profit goal. That's what we ask stocks to do. Agilient, this one's shown nice accumulation. Again, Canslim stock, has some top rated funds in it over on the right. West Pharmaceutical, nice, just look at all the blue week after blue week. Just really nice. Blue bars are sort of dominating the red bars down here on volume. Charles River Labs, nice accumulation, pause for a 3-week tight. So if you got in this one properly on this breakout down here, could have added for sure on coming out of the 3 weeks tight, and maybe on this first pullback to the 10-week line. You have to study that. DHR, again, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like 13 or 14 weeks up, just showing nice accumulation. RS line getting ready to go to new high. Aventor, we do have this one in the group teaching portfolios up at the 20% profit goal. Be nice to see higher volume, but it does have weeks after week of accumulation. Biotechnine, again, this one's in the group teaching portfolio, 15% from pivot, so it's close to the 20% profit goal. So I have to make a decision whether to sell none, some, all, and if just some, how much when it gets to that 20% profit goal. So when I make that decision, it'll show up when I update it that weekend, and we cover it in our meetings. Zebra, same thing. We have this one in the group teaching portfolio. So now I'm just showing you some that had the decisions coming up that I mentioned, 14% from the pivot. So it's 6% away from the 20% profit goal. So again, have a decision on that one. Sell none, sell some, sell all, how to handle that when it gets to the 20% profit goal. And then here was Path. This one has earnings this week. Not a good setup to me, pretty deep. Well, I guess it's a little bit over 30%. Went from 90 down to under 60, 55 or something, I guess. IPO price was down here, so it almost came back to that. That's a little concerning. So we'll see what happens. Again, a lot of eyes on this one. Kathy Wood's been buying a lot of it. A lot of people have been watching it. Pretty far down there for me. And then just to give you one that's sort of set up that I ran across in preparing my watch list and looking at it. This is ticker IQV, and it is currently in the buy zone, broke out of a stage 2 flat base, so it was only 6% deep. Well, that was a nice narrow flat base. You got Fidelity Contra Fund in there, very liquid, trades almost $200 million per day. Decent Canslim growth numbers over here on the left. So an RS line, peaking to a new high. So a lot of attractive stuff about that chart. Maybe one to do some due diligence on as we head into the week. So go back to our presentation. We covered that. Monthly meetings. So at our August meeting, we covered what we normally covered, looked at the M factor, watch list stocks, recent IPOs, and the IPO market stocks the group picked. And then our big educational topic was being on pins and needles at EPS season. What are our rules for holding through earnings releases? So we covered that in detail last month. And so this month, we're meeting Tuesday, September 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern. All meetings are recorded. Everybody signs up to attend, gets a copy of the recording and the slide deck, whether you attend live or not. This will be a big educational one. We're going to cover the weekend routine using MarketSmith and the newspaper to build a first pass watch list each weekend, to narrow it down to the best of the best, producing a tiered watch list. In fact, here's a little more detail on the agenda. So I'm going to cover why do it, why go through this, what are the benefits of a weekend routine, and it's probably more than you're thinking about. And then we're going to in detail cover how to do it. So this is going to be one detailed method of a weekend review. So step one, we're going to talk about using the Growth 250 in the newspaper to build that first pass watch list of approximately 20 to 30 top-notch Canslim stocks. This is not that hard. Anybody can do this. A lot of people on Twitter will post a list of 20 stocks. But then step two is where the rubber meets the road. This is the hard part. This is taking that first list, going through every one, doing more detailed evaluation. What's important on that MarketSmith chart, what's not important. How do you compare these stocks? How do you find the best of the best? So we're going to go through that in detail. I put in there's no magic bullet, but there is a way to do it. So we're going to walk through that. So if you don't have a weekend routine, or you want to know how to have one, or yours isn't very organized, this is the meeting you should attend. And then we'll also talk about using MarketSmith so that your weekend routine is the foundation for your weekend routines going forward. In other words, what you do once you establish this routine is going to help save you time in subsequent weekends, and also save you time in deciding which stocks you really do think are actionable, what goes on that top tier watch list. I did this about a year ago. This is going to be an updated one. It's going to have some new stuff in it, and we will be going through current stocks, and actually I will show you the paperwork for my weekend routine next weekend when we do the meeting on Tuesday. And then we'll talk about some weekend routine steps beyond the watch list, how you can use EPS reports that are coming up to your advantage. So that's being prepared for buyable gap ups and beyond. And if time permits, and I really don't think it will, we'll look at some group teaching portfolio trades and post-analysis. Might look at some recent IPO charts, because we normally at least look at one or two per meeting, just because I like them so much. And then we'll do 30 minutes Q&A at the end, looking at what we covered during the meeting or every other things that come up. We can also look at stocks the group picked. But again, I think the educational topic's going to eat up all of the primary meeting, quite frankly. And then here's a list of prior meetings. Big things I covered, the ones in greens are the ones that are most often ordered. If you do not have a written set of cell rules, you really need to get the January, February, and March meeting. I mean, I spent 4.5 to 5 hours teaching that. I spent countless hours putting all that together. It will help you have your own written set of cell rules. And if people ask me, hey, what's the number one thing I can do to help take my trading to the next level, is this right here, having your set of written cell rules, which is going to help you with post analysis. It's just going to make everything easier. It's going to help you analyze your mistakes and rewrite your cell rules to fit your personality as you go forward. And then here's other ones that we covered. This last one, well, that was the one on earnings seasons. I think people struggle with that a lot too. So that was pretty extensive. It's not, I shouldn't have colored it green. It's not one of the most ordered ones yet. So meetup websites, you can join the Greenville Eastside IBD meetup site. Just go to meetup.com and search for it. That's the one with all the Canslim resources loaded on it. If you want to attend a monthly meeting, you join the Stockyard meetup site. You also can subscribe to the Stockyard YouTube page, which is where you're watching this video. So make sure you just like and subscribe those. It helps with the algos and everything and puts them in front of more people. If you're interested in prior meetings, you can email me at that address, greenvilleibdmu@aol.com, and I will send you the list that I just showed you, plus ordering instructions. Meetings they're $10 each, just like the regular monthly meetings. You can follow me on Twitter, and again, you can look at the YouTube page. So that's it. I hope you guys had a great weekend routine as we're at the end of the weekend. We'll see what this trading week brings, and the next weekend will be a shorter video update because I'll be getting ready for the meeting coming up the following Tuesday. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and RSVP for that, and I'll get all the information out about 24 hours of meeting before the meeting on how to attend live. So that's it. You guys have a great shortened week, and I'll see you next weekend.